Have you ever noticed how a single person can disturb your peace without even being in the room? You could be having a normal day, working, driving, enjoying a quiet morning. Then, their name appears on your phone. Nothing has happened yet. No words have been exchanged. And still, something inside you changes. Your mind starts preparing for a conversation that hasn't happened. Your body braces for tension that doesn't exist yet. Why? Because some people do not need access to your time. They only need access to your emotions. Many people believe toxic relationships are about arguments, manipulation, or control. But the deeper problem is often invisible. It is the way another person learns how to enter your inner world. Not through force, through familiarity. They learn which fear moves you, which guilt weakens you, which insecurity makes you explain yourself. Over time, they stop knocking on the door. They already know it is open. This is why walking away is sometimes not enough. You can leave the relationship and still carry the pattern. You can stop answering and still spend hours replaying conversations in your head. The real freedom begins when people lose access to the emotional doors inside you, because peace is not protected by distance alone. It is protected by awareness. And today, we are going to talk about how to become emotionally unreachable to people who only feel powerful when your peace disappears. The doors they keep using. Most toxic people are not experts in psychology, yet somehow they always seem to know exactly where to press. Not because they understand human nature better, because they have learned your patterns. Maybe your door is guilt. You finally say no. You set a healthy boundary, and suddenly you feel like the bad person. So you go back, not because you wanted to, because guilt convinced you to. Maybe your door is the fear of conflict. You stay quiet when something feels wrong. You tolerate more than you should. You sacrifice your comfort to avoid a difficult conversation. Or maybe your door is the need to be understood. You keep explaining, keep clarifying, keep searching for the perfect words that will finally make them see your side. But some people do not keep you confused because they cannot understand you. They keep you confused because confusion keeps you engaged. This is why self-knowledge is so important. Most people spend years studying the behavior of toxic individuals. Far fewer spend time studying their own emotional openings. Yet, that is where real protection begins. Because every repeated wound reveals something, not only about the person causing it, but about the part of you that still feels responsible for carrying it. The moment you identify the door, you stop being surprised when someone tries to use it. And awareness is often the first step toward freedom. Stop reacting, start observing. One of the greatest lessons in Stoicism is simple. Not everything deserves an immediate response. Yet most emotional suffering begins in the space between a trigger and a reaction. Someone criticizes you. You defend yourself. Someone ignores you. You chase. Someone accuses you unfairly. You spend the next hour proving your innocence. The reaction feels natural. Sometimes it even feels necessary. But look closely. Are you choosing the response? Or is the wound choosing it for you? There is a difference. A calm mind responds. An injured mind reacts. And toxic people often depend on that reaction. Because once emotions take control, your attention belongs to them. You stop thinking clearly. You stop asking what is true. You become focused on winning, explaining, fixing, or defending. A person who masters himself learns to pause before entering that cycle. Not because he has no feelings, because he understands feelings are not always wise advisors. The pause may only last a few seconds. A breath, a moment of silence, a decision to wait before replying. But inside that small space lives your freedom. You begin to see the situation instead of becoming the situation. You notice the anger, the fear, the urge to prove yourself, and instead of obeying it, you observe it. That is when something powerful happens. You stop becoming easy to move, and the people who once controlled your reactions slowly lose their grip on your life. Stop needing their understanding. There is a hidden prison many people never notice. It is the need to be understood by someone who has already decided who you are. At first, it seems reasonable. You want fairness. You want clarity. You want the chance to explain yourself. So you keep talking. You choose your words carefully. You replay conversations in your head. You search for a better way to say the same thing, because part of you still believes that if they could just see your intentions, everything would change. But life teaches a difficult lesson. Not everyone is listening to understand. Some people are listening to defend. Some are listening to judge. Some are listening only long enough to find something they can use against you. This is why endless explanation becomes exhausting. You are trying to build a bridge while the other person keeps moving the river. The Stoics understood something important. Your peace cannot depend on another person's agreement. If it does, you have placed your freedom in their hands. There comes a moment when maturity looks surprisingly quiet. You tell the truth once, maybe twice. After that, you stop chasing validation. You stop arguing with every misunderstanding. You stop treating every false accusation as an emergency, because your character is not determined by someone else's opinion. And the people who truly want to understand you rarely require endless explanations in the first place. Protect your peace, not your image. Many people sacrifice their peace for a reputation they cannot control. They want to be seen as kind, patient, generous, understanding. And those qualities are valuable until they become a performance. You answer messages when you need rest. You tolerate disrespect to avoid looking difficult. You keep giving chances because you are afraid of appearing cold. From the outside, everything looks noble. Inside, resentment quietly grows. This is where many people lose themselves. They become caretakers of an image while neglecting their inner life. A person who fears being called selfish will often give too much. A person who fears disappointing others will often abandon himself first. The world praises self-sacrifice, but Stoicism asks a deeper question. What is the cost? If your kindness leaves you exhausted, something is wrong. If your patience destroys your peace, something is wrong. If maintaining a reputation requires betraying your own limits, the price is too high. The truth is simple. You do not live inside other people's opinions. You live inside your own mind. Every day, every night. That is the place that must remain healthy. Not everyone will understand your boundaries. Not everyone will approve of your growth. That is fine. Your responsibility is not to manage their perception. Your responsibility is to protect the quality of your inner life. Because peace is worth more than approval. Build boundaries and leave the role. Every unhealthy relationship assigns roles. And after a while, you begin to forget they are roles. You start believing they are your identity. Maybe you became the fixer, the one who solves every problem. Maybe you became the peacemaker, the one who absorbs tension so everyone else can stay comfortable. Maybe you became the rescuer, always available, always understanding, always carrying more than your share. At first, these roles feel meaningful. Then they become heavy, because no matter how much you give, the responsibility never ends. There is always another crisis, another misunderstanding, another emotional burden waiting for you. This is why boundaries matter. A boundary is not rejection. It is recognition. Recognition that your energy is limited. Recognition that another adult is responsible for their own emotions. Recognition that caring for someone does not require carrying them. The difficult part is that people often resist the new version of you, especially if they benefited from the old one. When you stop rescuing, they may call you selfish. When you stop over-explaining, they may call you distant. When you stop accepting blame, they may call you difficult. Let them. Not every criticism deserves correction. Sometimes, growth simply means refusing to play the role that kept you trapped. Because freedom begins the moment you stop becoming who others expect you to be and start becoming who you truly are. At the end of the day, this was never about becoming harder. It was about becoming wiser with your energy. Many people spend years trying to change toxic people, trying to make them understand, trying to make them care, trying to make them become the person they keep hoping for. But life becomes lighter when you stop making your peace dependent on someone else's transformation. The Stoics understood that freedom begins where control ends. You cannot control how someone speaks to you. You cannot control what stories they tell about you. You cannot control whether they approve of your boundaries or respect your decisions. But you can control what you continue giving access to. That is where your power lives. Not in winning every argument. Not in proving every point. Not in making everyone see your side. But in protecting the space within yourself where peace can grow. There will still be difficult days. Old wounds may still speak. Certain memories may still pull at you. That is part of being human. The goal is not to become impossible to hurt. The goal is to stop letting every hurt decide who you become. Little by little, you learn something important. You do not need to chase every explanation. You do not need to carry every burden. You do not need to answer every knock at the door of your mind. Because not everyone deserves access to your inner world. And not every storm deserves a response. So keep choosing awareness over reaction, peace over chaos, self-respect over approval. And remember this: you do not become free when the toxic person finally changes. You become free when their behavior no longer controls the atmosphere inside you. That is when peace stops being something you visit and becomes the place you live.